Hello, everyone. My name is Andy Castillo. I cover farm equipment and machinery for Farm Progress. And our panel today is kind of a general overview of ag drones. We're just kind of cover a lot of different topics and cover a lot of ground fairly quickly. So if you guys have questions, anything at all, feel free to ask them at any point during the session. I will try to remember to pause and give you space to ask them, but sometimes when we're rolling, I just kind of blow right by it. So if you have a question, raise your hand and just ask it. So obviously drones are emerging very quickly into the ag space. It's new, so I know there's a lot of maybe trepidation or just a lack of knowledge in general across the board, and hopefully we can demystify some of the things that are causing headwinds in adoption. So this is our panel today. We have Chase Plumer from Agri Spray Drones, Wayne Baker from DJI, and Josh Robinson, who's representing Pegasus Robotics. So each one of them are going to give a brief presentation, and then we'll get into the round table. Chase, you're up first.
All right. Push the arrow button. There we go. All right, guys. First thing I see is my name's misspelled. It's one M, no B. Chase Plumer, Agri Spray Drones. I work remote for Agri Spray Drones. I'm a key account manager for them. I actually live just 50 miles north here in Seymour, Indiana. I'm ag background, jack of all trades, master of none, it seems like. But I've been in spray drones now for 3 years and started out as a sprayer, then became a dealer, and now key account manager for them. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, what's next? All right, a little bit about Agri Spray Drones. We have a nationwide dealer network. I think right now we're somewhere around 150 dealers across the United States. We're very big on support and replacement parts, and we want all of our customers to know and understand we've got your back at all points and times. We're there to help you. We provide the education and the experience to keep you in the air. We've got a great team of techs and a lot of knowledgeable guys that can help us through about everything.
How y'all doing? My name is Wayne Baker. They call me Chief because I'm a recovering fire chief. And first, let me say thank y'all for being here, hearing us drone on, and Farm Progress for putting this on. And there's a lot about me, but I'm going to skip ahead because I'm not that important. My title at DJI is I'm the Director of Stakeholder Engagement, which is a mouthful that says I get to go around and meet you, our customers. My background being public safety, I work with a lot of them. I work with oil and gas, and then, our most important resource, in my opinion, in this country, you, the farmers, and the ecosystem that supports you. I'm all hat, no cattle. First vehicle I drove was a tractor on the ranch. First car was on the 405 freeway in LA. The ranch was South Texas, so I am Texan. Just because of my dad, I had to grow up in California, between Texas and California, so don't hold that against me. I went to work at DJI because of a lot of the life-saving stuff we were doing drones, and then now, it's just great to see what else drones are getting to do, especially as I've been learning from certain farmers, like a guy named Russell Hedrick out of North Carolina. And I just really, I'm amazed because DJI started out with our camera drones a while back. And actually, let me back up. There's a few things I need to point out real quick. One, there was a great Missourian that said once it said, by the name of Mark Twain, that said, the rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated. So too are any bans on DJI by the government. I'm still here, we're still here, so you can continue to purchase and buy DJI products if any of you have heard these rumors. And we are a hardware company, not a data company. We take data security seriously, and we really allow you, the users, to control data, your data. So, having said that, let me get back to this, what y'all are here for. You know, we started out with our camera drones in early 2000s. With that success, around 2012, started moving into other industries, as I mentioned earlier, including agriculture. And what we've seen over the last couple of years is a lot of operations, a lot of farmers move away from ground vehicles and the costs involved with them, mechanical damage to the ground crops, and then the riskier, costlier aircraft operations with crop dusting, things like that, to using drones that can offer more precision, versatility, and are increasing the safety and crop yields. So to get more specific on how that's happening, we're able to do that with, I'll talk about our two flagship drones here, the T-25 and the T-50. Now, they have a lot of the same safety features, capabilities, including that versatility to be able to carry bigger payloads, 88 pounds for spraying, 110 pounds for spreading with the T-50. You half that with a T-25 for 44 pounds of spraying, 55 for spreading. And the reason why we go with pounds for the liquid is in aviation, it's takeoff weight. And then, you take water at about 8 pounds, you add chemicals, it changes its weight, not its gallonage. So we kind of go with that when we're looking at that. So there's also collision avoidance sensors, some radars, camera for terrain following. You can, with the efficiency, you can cover about 40 acres to 50 acres with a T-50. T-25 about 30, and that changes with temperature, humidity, and how fast you move. If you're lazy like me, you're not going to cover as much. So that's part of that there. And then we also get into, and I know I'm giving like a really high level, pretty quick view. There's a lot more details in there about, you can change droplet size, flow rates, things like that with them. But then we look at our Mavic 3 multispectral, which is another drone that works hand in hand. And what this has is a regular color camera, but then it has other cameras on this that look at light reflected back from the plants. Now, for whatever reason, DJI, when we did our multispectral, red is good and healthy. Green is going to be more stressed or dying vegetation. In my opinion, it should be opposite, but you can cover about 500 acres in an hour in one flight with this drone, mapping as well as getting real-time idea of the health of your crops, but then also you can take those images back to third-party software and help with the analysis of your crops. In fact, one case here in the Midwest, there was a 64-acre farm, soybean field, that they overflew with the Mavic 3. Then they took those images into third-party software, Gremo AI, and they found almost 4 acres of volunteer corn and about 6 acres of clump corn infestation. Then they switched over and spot sprayed with the agriculture drone and were able to save about 40% in chemical usage, using only 60% of what they normally would have used. So in the end, they had a greater yield out of that field. So in closing, I've taken, I think, a little bit more time than they allotted, but in closing, again, we're, really looking forward to bringing new products to, you, our customers, on what you want, so that we can help improve your efficiency and cost savings on your operations and help make the world a better place. So, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Josh Robinson. I'm with Pegasus Robotics. We distribute the XAG drones all across America. We don't have 150 dealers like Agri. We're right now at about 75 dealers, and we are limited right now mainly to the Midwest, Southeast. I mean, we continue to expand to the West Coast. So a little bit about Pegasus, and it was actually started by a farmer in Iowa, a farmer in Missouri, and a Chinese guy from Seattle. And so a really weird combo to get things, started with us. But there was no, I don't know that any group of people could have come together to bring a brand like XAG to the States, and it's been really impressive. And I'll talk a little bit about the new drone, in just a second. So here's my bio, and long story short, I come from about 100 miles south of here, and grew up on a farm, raised on a farm, went to Murray State University here in Western Kentucky, and realized that a family farm did not have enough income to support me and my 3 brothers. So I left the farm, went into corporate retail, and did that for 20 plus years. Realized, actually when COVID was hitting, that I needed to be back closer to home, closer to family. So moved back home, retired, and honestly didn't do a whole lot for a couple years. But I had a brother-in-law come to me, and the whole reason I left farming was because there wasn't enough income to keep me on the farm. And he was in a situation where he was working full-time and still trying to farm. So he comes to me and says, hey, what about drones? Can we get into drones and maybe supplement my income a little bit, enough so I can leave the power plant? I said, I don't know a damn thing about drones. And so we come to Farm Machinery Show 3+ years ago and started looking around to see exactly what was out there. Long story short, our first year out, we covered about 15,000 acres with drones. And he made more money than what he needed, and he's still doing that full time. And I shouldn't say full time. He full-time farms and he part-time drone spray. And I know that's a question we'll get to as far as ROI, but the opportunity for the next generation to have something to supplement income through custom application, it's a big deal. So, he's got this on. So that's me, that's my wife, that's my parents. I'm actually based right outside of St. Louis, and every presentation I do, she's always in it, and because honestly, without my wife, I probably would have been a hired hand on a farm somewhere working for $10 an hour, and she keeps me motivated and drives me all the time. I tell you all of this because I want you all to ask questions. I want you to understand, my background. So if you've got something you want to direct it straight towards me, I can give you a couple different perspectives on it, as I've been dealing with this for a little while. So I will talk about our drone for just a second. And we've got 10 plus guys in our booth, and if you all want to come by and see it, and this is the latest drone from XAG. It's the P150, so big things about it, 40 miles an hour, and that's the first thing you need to know. One of the fastest drones on the market right now, 18.5 gallon liquid capacity, 30.5 gallon on the spreader capacity. It's going to lift 154 pounds, and you can recharge batteries in as fast as 8 minutes. And so come by the booth. You can look at it. We can talk more about it. That's the drone in a nutshell. And we can get into how many acres it does. Guys, I'm going to tell you that's a loaded question. And I will, I'm not going to sit here. I can tell you, if you give me nice, square, straight fields in the Boot Hill of Missouri where I can move the drone, down those end rows, well, this drone's going to cover 60 plus acres an hour. And now, if we're going to Western Kentucky, where I was born and raised, that drone's productivity is going to drop from 60 down to 40, just because there's not a square field in Western Kentucky. So that's, so ask your questions. Just understand some of our answers may be a little long to make sure that we give you all the right, information to understand how these drones fit into your operation. So that's, now it's time for you, Andy. So.
Yes. Thank you, Josh. And to begin, Josh, I think it's interesting what you said that, you came into drones relatively recently. And drones represent a fundamental change in so many different ways. If you're talking about automation or something, like, you're still basically doing the same task, but drones are a completely different way of doing it. Could you walk us through what that process was like? I mean, how did you go about, going from 0 to 100?
I wish you all would have asked a question because I don't think it would have been as loaded as that one was. So going from 0 to 100, and honestly, it was taking the time to understand the products that were available. And I won't talk about a particular brand, but I will be honest with you. When I started, I actually bought a different brand than XAG. And I started with that drone, and honestly, I realized it wasn't designed for what I was using it for. So I made a transition to the XAG brand, and it is the drone that I ended up spraying 15,000 acres. So I would tell you, take the time to understand the features and benefits of every one of the drones that are out there. Then after that, start digging into what it takes to become a drone pilot and the regulations that come along with that. I don't want to get into regulations. That's a lot of legal stuff. It varies a whole lot state by state by state. But when we start talking, federal level, I would tell you, visit our website, visit Agri-Spray's website. Both of us have a flow chart on the processes of what you need to do regulation-wise to become a drone pilot itself. I'll tell you it's really easy. I'll also tell you that there's some legal paperwork, and I tell everybody, I'm not a lawyer. It costs about $1,500 to have somebody else do that for you. Spend the $1,500 unless you like, fighting through a bunch of legal paperwork for the FAA. So beyond that, I think the next step, if you want to do this, whether it's for your farm, or you want to do this for custom application, you've got to take the time, once you have a drone in your possession, to understand what it's capable of. And I mean that in a couple of different ways. I can teach probably anybody in this room how to run our drone in 2 to 4 hours. That doesn't make you a drone pilot. That doesn't make you a good custom applicator. You have to spend the time in the field and put some pond dye in that thing, and you have to run it, back and forth, and you have to watch it. I'm not talking weeks or months. I'm talking you could probably spend anywhere from 3 to 4 days just understanding how to spray in crosswinds, understanding the height variations when you're spraying with a drone. All of those things matter. You want to look at your droplet size. Play with it just a little bit. What does it do at 2 gallons? What does it do at 3 gallons? What does it do at 12 foot? What does it do at 14 foot? Play with those things in your field 2 or 3 days. You don't go out and buy a ground rig and just say, all right, I'm going to go do burn down and just take off across the field. It's the same thing with drones. So you spend a week, you'll be, I won't say you'll be a professional drone pilot, but you won't be the guy that's out here streaking up fields. So.
Which begs the question, do you just go out and buy a drone? Or do you get a license first? What's the process to, get started?
Yeah, so I'm glad my wife's not here because back when I started into drones, yes, is the answer. I saw a drone on TikTok and bought one 3 days later, which brings me to the point. Do your research. Learn. I didn't know anything. I just thought it looked cool, and I was like, absolutely, I think that will be great. Understand what you've got to do. Understand what you've got to get into. I tell everybody, the first step, make sure you can get a Class 3 medical. That's the first step, in my opinion. A lot of it, guys, again, we don't want to get into legal, and we don't want to get into that topic, but that's one step. If you can't qualify for the Class 3 medical, you can't get legal to fly the drone. So before you go spend a bunch of money and buy a drone, I would advise you to make sure you can pass the medical first.
What's Class 3 medical?
Question.
I just wanted to, as of December 3rd, our waiver's done, and all waivers come out like that, you do not need a third-class medical unless you're swarming at night operations. Then you need a third-class medical, which you waiver out the third-class medical now.
Can you just clarify what third-class medical is?
Third-class airman physical is what it is.
So Wayne, what questions should you ask when you go up to these booths? How do you determine what the right drone is for you?
And I'll defer some of their experience on it with farming. But what I tell others in other industries is first decide what you're going to use it for. And in farming, I would presume with crops or what applications you're going to be utilizing. That's one of the great things about drones is the versatility of crops. But, you know, find out, get with them on your operation, what the best fit that you're going to use that drone for. You know, because I can tell you, like on the DJI line, we make other products, and if we were an unscrupulous salesperson, I could sell you, you know, $100,000 in drones when you need a $1,000 drone. Do you just want something you can go out and get imagery of your field and take back to third-party software like I talked about? You can do that for a couple of $1,000s. If you're wanting to spray, how large an operation is it? And it just kind of goes from there to dial in what do you need, not what is out there that I can buy. So I would start there with that. What do you need to do with the drones? Later on, you may scale up. Later on, you may say, hey, you know what? As you become more proficient in flying, because that's another part to it, is becoming comfortable. You know, I teach for, hopefully I don't upset too many people in the room, a little place called Texas A&M University. So I teach the Part 107 certification class there. And, you know, I have to tell those people before you go out and buy a drone, usually by day 3, they're all on Amazon. And, you know, hold off before you go do that. Again, figure out what you're going to do. Then find something smaller maybe that you can get comfortable controlling. Sometimes that could, I mean, really, I started out with a cheap Walmart drone that didn't hold itself in a hover. You had to learn to keep it in a hover and maneuver it. And if you can master something like that, you can master anything. But really, nowadays, you don't need to. You can get some smaller drones that are capable enough that you get comfortable flying it. Get your crashes out on something like that rather than one of the larger drones.
Are there any like safety stops to prevent like catastrophic crashes?
Depending on the drone, yes. I can speak for DJI. We have, especially on our Agri drones, we have collision avoidance sensors around, and then we have 2 radar systems that help. On some of our smaller drones, we have collision avoidance sensors, and they're good, but sometimes power lines and tree limbs are small enough they're not maybe going to pick them up in time. That's where on Agri it's great having those radar systems, and I'll let him speak for his.
I'll say obstacle avoidance, I think, is on every model. But here's what I'd tell every farmer that looks at it. Obstacle avoidance is like a seatbelt in a car. It might save your life 9 times out of 10, but there's always the 10th time. And when you take a drone that's running 40 miles an hour with, 150 pounds of payload, it may slam on the brakes, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop before it hits it. It may be the difference in between a little bit of damage versus a whole lot of damage. So everybody has it. These guys have got even a better system, but it all depends on what you're doing with it. We've got a great radar system on the XAG models, but the faster that you go, the less that you get. And so you just have to understand that and make sure that whoever you're talking to, you ask those questions so that you can understand our obstacle avoidance, and we'll start picking up things at 500 feet away. If you're going 7, 10, 15, 20, 25 miles an hour, all the way up to 30. Once you cross over 30, even our manufacturer says, once you're going 30 plus miles an hour, it may pick it up and it's going to try to slow it down, but it's not going to stop it. And Wayne hit it too. We go out this time of year and we map. I've got a lot of farmers that go out and they'll go ahead and do some mapping of their fields. When you're doing a map of a field this time of year, you know what you can't see? You can't see those limbs because there's no leaves on them. So you've got to wait normally till spring and get a little bit of green out there so that you can actually see all of those that little 1-inch limb that's jutting out out there in that field, just to make sure that you don't wreck a drone. So
I was going to kind of extend off of that because I know that you guys have LiDAR on yours. Could you just break down what the different types of sensors are in how they work, and then how they direct the drone not to crash into a wall?
Sure. So yeah, as he said, on our EA Vision J100 model of drone that we're bringing to the U.S. market, with the LiDAR, basically it's like lasers. Lasers bring back and it creates a 3D image inside of it, and that's how it's also an AI drone, so it kind of learns as it's going. It sees it, it builds the map, it turns around, it's coming back. It's still into some of the map that it built.
You mentioned AI. Wayne, could you take that a step further? How does AI interact with drones? What capabilities does it give it?
You know, again, a lot of in agriculture, a lot of great capabilities to be able to identify, you know, again, health of your vegetation, identifying, you know, weed problems, things like that. I real quick I sometimes revert back, so I will, because I just heard something today at lunch, really great in public safety, like North Carolina and the disaster they just had there. They can use certain AI software to be able to help identify, you know, damage, degrees of damage. We saw this in the Malibu fires, identifying degrees of damage of buildings. So it's able to, the more it is told, this is corn, this is soybean, this is weed, and different kinds of weed, the more it sees it, the more that third-party software learns, the more accurate it gets. And again, utilizing mapping capability to get out there, do that ahead of time. Now, instead of spraying maybe the whole area you might have done, now you can concentrate just where you need to. So making that operation more efficient and bringing more, you know, cost savings to you.
Since we're talking about technology, Josh, could you walk us through a little bit on how batteries work? And I know this is probably a little bit of a flexible question because it depends a lot on conditions, but what's the general flight time of these drones, and how long does it take to recharge the batteries?
I'm going to be honest with you. It varies through every manufacturer, and I'd say it varies also what you're doing, and so it's not a simple question. I tell people the average flight time for a drone is enough to get the payload off, depending on what you're doing. And so our drone, 18.5 gallons, and so if I send that drone out doing 1 gallon per acre, it's not going to get 18.5 gallons off, when we're doing, even at 40 miles an hour. It'll get off about 12, is what we see. So think about it, and I say all of our drones are kind of lazy. Or it's about efficiency. So our drones all want to get that payload off as fast as it can because it's carrying a lot of weight. So batteries themselves vary on what operation that you're doing and how you're running it. So I'll use a P100 Pro or so P100 Pro, and you can go out and you can send that drone up to a half a mile away. It can spray off. It has right at a 13.5 gallon tank, and it can spray off that entire tank, come back and land in approximately 10 minutes, and it'll still have 20-25% battery left. So it can do its job, which is what we all want, from a battery. So once you pull that battery out, you can throw it on the charger. It does vary when you're charging that battery, how fast it will recharge. So if we're starting first thing in the morning, that battery recharge time, you'll probably see that 8 minutes, that I posted up there earlier. We get to 90 degrees outside and your generator's working hard and the batteries have been worked hard all day, that time creeps up on you. You may get to go to a 9-minute, 10-minute, 12-minute, recharge time. So that's why normally I say an average of 10 minutes, on your recharge time, and that's why all of us normally recommend either 3 or 4 sets of batteries, so batteries have time to cool down, because you're putting so much power into that battery, pulling the power out of it, and then you're turning around and slamming it right back into it. So all of us have different ways to cool our batteries to make sure that they're efficient, because I've got batteries now that have cycles of 2,000 plus. So you can figure that every time that drone's going out there, 2,000 plus times, on average, it's doing 6 to 8 acres a time. So those batteries have seen 12,000 plus acres. So batteries are something that, batteries, I would say, for all of the brands right now, is the limiting factor in why we don't have a bigger drone. You want a 50-gallon drone right now, and we don't have technology where the battery's efficient enough to do it. So there are some drones out there that have it, and can do it, but the flight time isn't enough to take 50 gallons off at 2 gallons an acre type situation. So
That begs the question, is there technology advancements that are maybe coming in the next decade that will increase the flight time and improve efficiency?
Yes, I would have to think so. I can attest from me, myself, and where we've came in 3 years, as a lot of these guys will tell you sitting up here, and maybe even some of you in the crowd. I started with a T-30 drone, and, where we are at today, and that's just 3 short years ago, technology has made leaps and bounds. I've made comments, if any of you have stopped by our Agri spray booth, I have probably said the same thing to you guys. It's in my spiel all the time that if technology does what it did the last 3 years, the next 3 years, it's hard telling where we're going to be. But to his point with batteries, guys, I will tell you in the drone industry, and I believe these two guys agree with me, that everything that we do with drones is you've got to keep batteries in mind going forward. You've got to keep the heat in mind with your batteries. You got to keep them cool as you possibly can. Let me reword that. There is a lot of things that go into battery management. Battery management is huge in this industry across all brands.
So I'm going to add to that just a little bit, just knowing some additional technology that's out there. First, can I see, can you raise your hands if you're currently running a drone right now, just so we got a better understanding of the audience? So I know you guys do, and so the rest of, all right. So we're about a 50-50 mix. So on the technology side, batteries. There's actually an American company right now located in Boston, and completely new, different technology, and in the aspect of instead of changing the batteries every single time, it actually has a 2-minute recharge time, and so the drone lands, and it auto plugs in, and it'll recharge the battery in approximately 2 minutes. And so the technology continues to improve. They continue to look at different ways of doing things, and I will tell you that drone that does that, you're also looking at a price tag now of $150,000 to $200,000, and it also has that's just the starting point on it. The other side of that is it takes an 80 kW generator to recharge that thing in 2 minutes. So there's a lot of things. And I know I see some people out here shaking their heads and they're like, holy coo. But I will tell you that there's certain industries, as I've learned more about agriculture since getting in the drone industry, because it is such a wide use as far as what crops it can be used on, et cetera. I was at a potato conference just 3 weeks ago, and you're like, potatoes? Where do drones go into potatoes? Guys, an average potato field is covered with insecticide or fungicide average every 7 days. So this guy walks up to me and he said, I've got 1,200 acres, and this was before I'd ever went to the conference, before I knew anything about potatoes. And he said, I've got 1,200 acres. And I said, I was like, it's going to be hard to get ROI at 1,200 acres, unless we use it for several years. And he was like, that 1,200 acres, I actually cover it 18 times a season. I was like, he actually raised seed potatoes, and those seed potatoes actually get 18 passes of fungicide, insecticide per season. And so the return on investment for him, by pass number 3, he's already paid off his drone, what he's currently doing, and he could make it would save him a lot of money. I'll just put it that way. So I'll turn it back over.
Since we're talking about batteries, Wayne, could you walk us through an optimal workflow? Say you wake up in the morning, what does it look like to really maximize efficiency out of your drone?
Oh goodness, that's again kind of a yeah, kind of loaded. Let me actually bring up one thing and then make a comment real quick if I could. There's one other thing to consider with that is atmospherics that affect your flight performance and your battery, and that is temperature and humidity. So Houston area, their flight time's going to drop, and more in. Well, they're almost always humid or flooding down there. Anybody from Houston? You know what I'm talking about. So the other thing I want to add to that, because batteries are our Achilles heel of the industry. The other thing is, I think we're kind of saying a lot of important things that I hope are not scaring anybody away. These are just a lot of things to consider. These are not roadblocks necessarily. They're just, we're trying to give you the information to understand. You don't just go buy one of these and throw it in the air and it does what you need. There's a lot to consider. It's not impossible. There's a lot of ease of use brought into our products, so please understand that. But anyway, getting back to workflow real quick on batteries. Batteries, very great point that batteries are probably the most important thing that you're going to focus on that drone is battery care and maintenance. And it's not so much a workflow in the daytime of, I will say for our batteries, they don't like to be fully charged and they don't like to be fully charged for a long time. Again, sorry to go back to my public safety roots, but I got a lot of cops that think they can just keep these batteries on a charger in the back of their hot patrol car all the time, and they're going to be working for them when they need them, and that will degrade the battery life over time. So it's one of those, if you're going to have them sitting for a while, you don't want them full, at least, again, DJI, I'm not trying to speak for theirs. But then, if you're going to, again, going back to atmospherics, that's the first step. Looking at, is today going to be a high humidity, high heat day? Are we going to have high winds? So you're kind of looking at that. Then you're looking at, okay, now I'm going to charge up these batteries maybe the night before, be ready. Now I've got, full sets. I kind of half-jokingly say you can never have enough batteries for your operations, depending on how long you're going to go, but you'll have them charged up. And then you want to have enough that you can break through that cool-down cycle, recharge, use, cool-down, recharge, use, so that you're not stopping your operations. So that's going to be aircraft dependent, operation dependent, but just some of the things to consider there.
And speaking of operations, and to harken back to something you said before about, optimal environment for drones, Josh, how do you determine, if you have the right operation for a drone so that it would fit into your operation and create ROI?
How do I decide ROI? And the drone, I think that goes back to what I think everybody's kind of mentioned. It's about understanding what you're going to be using the drone for and asking those questions up front. And like I said, it depends on how many acres you're going to cover. It depends on how many different crops that you're actually doing. And the drones are being used for, I'll be honest, guys, we see, on average, I'm saying probably every 2 months, there is something new that these drones are being used for. So, probably not very many people in here from Florida, and if you are in here from Florida, I don't understand why, because your weather's a hell of a lot better than the weather is here. But we actually saw drones being used to spread rock salt in Florida, because guess what? They don't have trucks down there, and they got 100-year snow this year. So drones can be used in so many different ways. And ROI, it all depends on what you're doing. And I mean that in the aspect of, I live in Southern Illinois. I told you that. I can drive 90 miles and be in the Boot Hill of Missouri, and aerial application is $7 to $8 an acre. I go back to where I'm from in Southern Illinois, it's $15 an acre is what aerial application is. So your ROI changes by, double. Then, if I turn around and make a trip and go, let's just say I can go to East Coast, West Coast. I'll go Pennsylvania, Aerial application up there starts off at $25. Let's go out to California now. Aerial application starts off at $50 an acre. So ROI varies a lot depending on where you're at. And understand, average field size in Pennsylvania, anybody got a guess? So I got someone from Pennsylvania in here. Average field size in Pennsylvania is 8 acres. That's it. There's a reason that aerial application costs so damn much, because that plane's going and then stopping, and going again. And it's the same thing with drones. You're not going to get as much done in Pennsylvania as you will in the Boot Hill of Missouri. So their ground's so damn good in the Boot Hill of Missouri, they don't plant in rows. So it's just, it depends on where you're at. And if you want real life facts, come see any of us, and we'll tell you what it looks like. So if you're in Southern Illinois, right now you could buy our P100 Pro, and you could pay that thing off in 1,500 acres and 1,800 acres all day long. So that's the shortest version I can give you. Sorry.
That's okay. So say somebody has a drone and they're flying one drone. How difficult is it to scale an operation and to really make it a lot bigger?
Right. So, again, loaded question. Are we in Pennsylvania? We in California? We in the Boot Hill? Where are you going to get? Comes back to ROI, right? You need some return to be able to expand. So that comes, like we've been saying, identify your use, identify your market, and identify what the aerial application is in that area, the dollar amount, and that will help project your business plan accordingly. If you're spraying crops at $8 an acre, it might take you a lot longer to get there to show good return on investment to where you can expand. I don't know that there's a magic key that says, buy this, charge that, and that's when you're going to expand. So it's kind of floating.
If I could add one quick thing that I just kind of thought of while he was talking, he reminded me of one thing is, again, we're talking about if you want to do this, don't forget we work with a lot of service providers that they do it. So, going back to regulations, they've already gone through all that. They've invested in the equipment. And so now maybe finding a good, reputable service provider, which there are some here I know in the room that, do a good job and, again, have gone through all of that. Now you're going to still see, efficiency in your operations and some return on investment from investing in them.
Following up on that, is there an ROI difference between hiring a service and going through and licensing yourself and flying it?
I mean, you've got a lot of great loaded questions. I would say, obviously, anytime you really do it yourself, you're probably, the scale depends. Like, again, if I'm in Pennsylvania with a small acreage farm, it may take a while before I see that return on investment. I'd probably get someone to do the work for me there. But if I've got, larger, 100 acres, more kind of thing, I'm probably going to, over maybe a couple of seasons, see that return on investment and pay that equipment off, as it were, a whole lot quicker if I did it myself. And then again, as I alluded, I'm lazy, so never underestimate my laziness to say I'm just going to pay someone else to do this, which, my wife would wish I would do a lot of times too.
So we have right back here. So
Absolutely.
the benefits of spraying yourself, because time management, more or less. Do any of you want to speak to that?
That sells a lot of drones there. That sells a bunch of drones. And honestly, well, let's just start back at Agri spray drones. That's what started the business. That's what started Taylor Moreland. Taylor was a seed salesman, and he got tired of waiting on planes and helicopters, and, you know, they were going to be here in 2 weeks, and 2 weeks came and went, and, you know, another 2 weeks came and went, and he finally started looking for other options. It was a solution to a problem is what got him started in the business, and timeliness was that problem. As many of you know in here with crops, when they get a disease on them, we need to get it, and we need to get it now. We don't need to get it 2 weeks from now, but when that was our only option, that's what we were stuck with. So, yes, that timeliness is everything, and it is on the custom app side of things too, guys. I think these guys will talk to you about that as well, that we do see some custom applicators that get into this and then they go talk the game, and then when it comes time to walk the walk, they struggle to do all of it. And they can't, they have an over-realistic expectation or presentation of what they can realistically do in a day with a drone. Yeah, so timeliness.
I just want to pause right back here.
We use LiPo, lithium polymer, in a lot of ours. I can't speak to that as far as what we're looking at, but going back to it's the Achilles heel of the industry, I can tell you I'm pretty sure all of our R&D are looking at any options we can to improve batteries, because, you know, it's kind of the holy grail when we can get a battery that can carry the load and provide the flight time. That's great for the entire industry.
Any other questions?
I would say, I know talking to an attorney, that they're currently looking at some things that are designed specifically for farmers. And I've been told currently you're required to get a 107, and they are in discussions about a 108. And the 108 having some different things like third-class medical being changed, which we know that it already has, but other things like limiting us to only flying no higher than 35 feet was one of the things that I've heard. So yes, I think there's some regulation, and guys, understand the regulation compared to 2 years ago, compared to today, is light years ahead. And everything that you used to, it would take 18 months to get your stuff. You're down to right now, you're probably at a 6 to 8 week lead time to get all of your legal paperwork done. So yeah, I think it will get better. And the thing that we have to improve on right now is, I'm just going to throw out a number and say, let's just assume that there was 4,000 drones sold last year in America, and that there's approximately 800 people that are actually legal to be flying those right now. So once we actually get those numbers a little closer together, it'll be a little easier to get regulations eased up. And the drones now, guys, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I think you need to know this. The drones now all have, remote identification. So they're going to know if it's in the air. So if you go fly by by an airport, they're going to figure out who it belongs to, pretty darn quick. So
Especially if you fly near a wildland fire in California, I can tell you the FBI will find you.
Wayne, we keep seeing it on social media that the FAA is going to pull the license, the registration on like my T-50, my T-40 that we're flying around the grid. Have you heard any truth to that? Do we have to worry about FAA retro going back and pulling it, or we still good with this?
You know, that's unfortunately, there is a lot of just concerns and myths that are being spread out there. And right now, no, I know of no attempts by the FAA, FCC to pull the licenses. You know, the elephant in the room for my company is, you know, we are under attack by I'll just say lobbyists and spreading myths and outright lies that damage the entire industry. And right now, we do have the National Defense Authorization Act that was passed that, if you don't mind me real quick, because it takes me a minute, but it addresses what he's talking about. So the National Defense Authorization Act listed DJI and has put in certain requirements that our equipment go through a data security audit in the next year and have a teardown of our hardware. We welcome that. We've commissioned audits. There have been independent audits done on us. We've passed every time. What our concerns are, number one, is it going to be done in a timely manner, because we have a 1-year window. 2, no agency was designated to do that. We would like to see an agency be done. And with the transition in presidency, that's been a little delayed, but hopefully Tulsi Gabbard being nominated yesterday will finally get this process going. And then the third, there was no right to reply put in there, so that we could, you're always going to find something in an audit, and we've always worked through that to correct those vulnerabilities that are found. But the last part that I think maybe you're talking about is a provision that if none of this gets done in a year, the FCC puts us on their entity list, and now what we anticipated happening is no new future products from our company are brought into the U.S. There is a potential they could retroactively do that, but I think they're realist enough to, one, know that there is no data security threat. This is all political and geopolitical and lobbyists by competitors. This will at least just be, again, for future products, if it does happen. And along those lines, and the question about FAA regulations, that's where service provider associations, we have Drone Advocacy Alliance. I know there is one, and I apologize, I forgot the name, but specifically for agricultural drones, there is thank you, American Spray Drone Coalition, my ADD. Those are important to get involved with, not just for you to fight for your rights to, have a free and open market and choose DJI if you want, but also to say, I'm flying this drone over a soybean field. Why do I need an FAA physical? If it augers into the ground, I'm losing crops. And I'm not attacking the FAA, because they have done a lot over the years for us, and have really, they're trying still to catch up with the technology. So that's where those provider associations are important, is to address your just concerns to be able to fly what you choose.
Any other questions? We have about 5 minutes left.
The Maverick there, you had a thing about mapping it earlier and having a third party read it. Is the third party DJI, or is there other parties? What's the cost involved with it? And any of the other two guys, their companies do?
We do have our own product, Terra, for mapping, but third party cost is going to depend, because we have a development kit, software development kit. So we work with a lot of different companies, Gremo, AI, and others. Then, depending on what you're using them for, we have other companies we work with for mapping and things. So there's just a wide spectrum of the third-party products and their prices.
To answer that, so our J100, we can use that as our survey drone if we would like to. Hook it up on RTK, do our mapping with that if we'd like. Software that we would use would be Pix4D to transfer. 1650.
And some of this is actually another conference that's going on right now in Denver. So that's a lot of what they're talking about, is the third-party softwares there.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure that you know, and cost on Pix 4D is $1,650. I mean, they've got different levels of it, and our drones are capable of doing 3D mapping as well. And I'll be honest, I actually recommend a DJI mapping drone. One, they're cheap. I mean, and I don't take you're not going to take well, how do I say this? You don't take a brand new truck, or a $100,000 truck, to the field, and when you've got a $5,000 truck sitting there. So I don't take my $40,000 drone to do something. I can buy a $3,000 drone that does it really well. And honestly, DJI is a good company when it comes to mapping drones. So I'm not saying that you're a bad one when it comes to spray drones. I just think mine's better. So, all right. You had a question?
Question up in the front.
Again, about 30 days ago or so, them drones was flying around northern Virginia and stuff all the time. What was the answer to that? Did it just disappear? You never heard it on the television or anything? How many companies was responsible for that?
I was going to tell you it was me. I just get bored. What do
Yeah.
you do on a Saturday afternoon? And so, we can't spray crops. So I was like, oh, let's go see what Jersey looks like. We'll fly it around for a little while. So those things were flying at, and I'm guessing, and based on the pictures that I saw, you're flying at anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 feet. That is a military type. You're not going to get, I don't care what political belief you are, but you're not going to get a straight answer on who that actually was. Or you could believe the rumors that the Russians lost a nuclear bomb and the Americans were trying to find it before they did. So, oh shit, that was the movie that was on last night, right?
Right.
I don't know which one it was. So.
Well, that begs the question what you were doing in New Jersey.
So I think we're not hearing about it because I think we know who it was, and we're not going to let that cat out of the bag. That's my opinion.
Any other questions?
A lot.
So you're referring to me saying $7 in the boot hill versus 15. Like I said, in the boot hill, there's $7 an acre because I can cover. A plane can cover so many more acres because the way the fields are designed, etc. It's all about efficiency. And now when you go to California, it does change because California has a 5-gallon minimum aerial application rate, so you don't get as much done during a day in general. And in California, or most of California, you spray for only about 6 hours a day. That's it, because the winds get, once winds get, it's just like, with your ground sprayer, once winds get above 10 miles an hour, you're not spraying anything. So that's where you see most of it. And efficiency goes down when you're talking 10-acre fields and all of those things. So a lot of little things play into it, but how many acres you can cover in an hour is what it really comes back to, okay?
We've got time for one more question. I can ask a question. Where do you see the future of drones heading? Are they going to take over spray rigs? What's the future of drones?
Yeah, so future of drones, that's, again, a wide range. I think the next step in the future is seeing them American-made. I think that is a big hill that has needed climb for a while, and I think there's enough spray drones out, and I think there's enough people operating them that they're saying we want American-made. So I think that's going to be something in the future. Going forward, I think you're going to start seeing bigger drones, better batteries. Again, like I said earlier, if 3 years from now they advance the way they've done the past 3 years, it's going to be a great future going forward with these drones, and you are going to see them start to compete with ground rigs. At the current time, I'm not trying to run anybody down. We compete with planes and helicopters. There's all kind of data out there showing across all brands. It doesn't matter the brand, but there's all kinds of data showing that drones are getting better coverage. Drones are getting better return on investment. Drones are making more yield because of the better coverage. There is tons and tons of companies out there doing lots of data research. I know we in Southern Indiana follow a lot of Beck's hybrids and what they're doing with their PFR book and things like that, and their non-biased research and whatnot. So, the future is getting better and better all the time. I will say when I started till now, you know, when I started, I have the story that a lot of people have that, well, I don't know why you would think that'd be a good idea. Won't be no drone flying over my field. I ain't going to have it. How many gallons you hold? 8 gallons. Well, you ain't going to get nothing done. Well, here we are. So we've come a long way, and we're getting things done, and we're actually showing better yield. So the future's bright.
I mean, I agree with him 100%. I think that we will see, I think we'll see see and spray technology. I think that we'll continue to tweak the batteries that we have to get more out of them. You could look at an XAG product right now, and we're using batteries that were on 2 previous models, and we're able to get more efficiency out of them by changing the prop designs. I mean, changing where the batteries are actually located in the drone to give it a better center point. So I think that you will see, it would not, I agree with him spot on. I think that you'll see an American drone made in the next, it wouldn't surprise me if we see something in the next 18 months, or at least something other than a Chinese drone. Because right now, Chinese drones dominate the market. And please understand, there's a reason. They actually had they use drones so much differently than what we do. They've got 1 billion people over there, and they've used, human labor to spread fertilizer. There's guys they make somewhere on the average of, $40 a day hand spreading fertilizers across rice paddies. Those people are drying up. They're not there anymore, so they got into the drones a lot earlier than us. And that's the only reason that they're ahead of us, is because they didn't have anybody to do the things, and we at least have options, or had options, with planes and helicopters and ground rigs, etc. You don't see a ground rig, in China. Again, average field size in China, 5 acres. That's it. And families live off of that. And when you start talking about an average wage for a true day laborer being somewhere in the neighborhood of $3-7 an acre, if you're a manager, you can make $40 a day. So yeah, it's completely different world than what we live in, and they were designed originally for a completely different reason than what we are currently using them for. So now that they understand what we're using them for and how we're using them, that's why you see the advancement over the last 3 years as rapid as it's been. I'll tell you, we've got a company out of California right now that's making a drone, lands on a runway, and has a 100-gallon tank on it. It's $1 million drone, folks. There's a helicopter out there right now that's $1.1 million, that you can buy, all completely autonomous. So I think do I think that every farmer's going to have a drone? No, but it would not surprise me if, 25% of all farmers end up with a drone because of the different uses that are truly available with it. So,
just to add on to that, in my opinion, we're not competing just yet with ground rigs. We are just another tool in the box. That's what I try to tell everybody. I'm not trying to get you to get rid of your big John Deere and 120-foot booms. But we are another tool in the box. When you can't go because the ground's wet, you can get this out and you can go with it. So just to follow up on that a little bit.
Final thought, Chase? Wayne, rather? Sorry.
It's all good. Call me anything but not late for dinner. So I would say automation is one of the next great steps we're going to see out of manufacturers, and by that I mean where we're removing more of that human element, that time it takes you, to where now you can have preset units that can go out, scan, map out your crops, decide, okay, now this drone needs to go and spray this agent, to where now your time isn't taken up doing that. Your time can be doing other things that you need to be doing with a labor shortage and other issues. I'd say we're seeing some more of that in other industries, and that's where I would say it's probably coming in the next few years to farming.
New York City is rebuilding its helipad to be able to accommodate drones. It's a pretty crazy time we're in. But anyways, we've run out of time, so thank you all for your attendance.